Everybody. This is Tuesday, June 1st, 2021. It's 6:34. We're kind of having our little conversations because we haven't seen each other in a year, almost. If you join us for the pledge, we'd appreciate it. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Marquette Township Board, and thanks for joining us tonight. I didn't bring a pen.
Here you go.
Randy, if you want to do, oh, thank you. You want to do roll call? Appreciate it.
Okay, Treasurer Johnson is with us on Zoom tonight, so he will be here. He's here on Zoom. Trustee LaRue.
Here.
Trustee Winslow.
Present.
Trustee Everson.
Here.
Trustee Marks.
Present.
Treasurer Johnson.
Here.
And Clerk Rattari is here, and Supervisor Durant.
Here.
Staff present is Manager Kangas, and Legal Counsel Roger Zappa is here. And we do have Superintendent of Public Works, Lenny Bodinas, is on Zoom with us also.
Okay, thank you. Did we have any emails from
We
the
did
public?
not as a minute ago.
Okay. And anybody on Zoom for the public want to address the board? Looks like we just got, okay, we can skip 2 and 3 then. Tonight's agenda, consent agenda, consists of approval of special meeting minutes of May 12th, 2021, and regular meeting minutes of May 18th. We have bills payable in the amount of $72,797.51. We have the utility billing calendar, there's 2 pages there. Charter Communications quarterly franchise fee. I was going to talk to the manager about whether we have those funds earmarked. We can do that later. State of Michigan notice of hearing for the gas customers of Semco. Case number U-20873, which is kind of interesting if you read that. Their cryptic way of saying they want a rate increase, and we do have some we do have some Semco people in the township. So I just need approval of that consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
We don't have any. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Question for Roger, since Treasurer Johnson's on Zoom, should we be doing roll call just for that or no?
For him.
It doesn't hurt to do that. He can signify by holding his hand up as an aye, or by speaking also, as long as it's clear,
Okay,
and giving the opportunity to dissent or to vote a nay.
okay, so we don't have to,
Or specifically inquiring of anyone participating remotely on how they vote is another possibility.
okay, because we're not all remote, which is
Right.
easier. So, yeah, so Ernie, we're just gonna hear you say yes or no, or wave your hand yes, or say no, okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, then we just need approval of the rest of the agenda unless anybody needs to make any changes.
So moved.
Support.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. I'm not aware of any conflicts of interest for this agenda from the board. Number 6 up is the library report. We have Tom Ronkin's written report. I did hand that out to you. We have their board member, the library board meeting minutes that he sent to us, so you've already read those, but I did include his written report. He's gonna be incommunicado for about 3 months for the summer, but he'll check in with us. And kind of interesting, the only thing I was gonna point out on his notes, they talked about the fund balance for the most part. It was a lot of financial discussion. They were down to 70,000 in the fund balance when the Michigan Tax Tribunal took over, and now they've built it up to 600,000, so they have a little bit of a cushion. And what was the other thing I was gonna point out? Well, they're gonna be doing strategic planning again pretty quick. Oh, the funded pension balance is up to 71% at the library from 68% last year, so they're getting a little closer on their retirement plan. So those are the only things I was gonna point out in Tom's report. And we did end up with 2 got ethics from MTA in the packet, so that's just kind of a little mistake, but we're still working through. Civic clerk worked pretty well, I think, for like the first time. Hey, Randy? And I know you wanted to talk about that later anyway.
Yeah, I'll comment on that later.
Okay. I just want the public to know that we are working on this. It's new, if you're not aware. And like I said, the God Ethics got in there twice. This is just a snippet out of Township Focus magazine that we get from Michigan Township Association. And I just thought it was kind of interesting to share with the board and the public, because we do have a responsibility to be ethical. And I was gonna give you, it references a gentleman's name, and that was the first part of the article, and it was about them, and I didn't mind including it, but it wasn't necessary for these purposes. Supervisor Bill Saunders in Silver Creek Township in Cass County. So that's the quote that's in there, talking about how to act in an ethical manner. So it's just information for you that I wanted to pass on. And I did email the board for the second item there that wasn't put in there, but I did email you about short-term rentals that are being addressed in the House and the Senate. I did send you the email just so that you're aware. If you don't want to have any discussion about it, that's fine too, but that's part of my job, is to bring information to you and see how you feel about it. I did check with our planning administrator, our zoning and planning administrator, and asked him, you know, what he thought about this. The bill itself is just, put it all on one page, it would be one page. And basically, I was trying to find the one line. For the purpose of zoning, all of the following apply to the rental of a dwelling, including but not limited to short-term rental. It's considered a residential use of property, this is a short-term rental, and has a permitted use in all residential zones. It's not subject to a special use or conditional use permit or procedure different from those required for other dwellings in the same zone. Otherwise, it still follows under rental information and regulations for inspections or taxes or how many people are in a dwelling, that kind of stuff. But otherwise, the bill, which is in the House and the Senate, is to make short-term rentals considered residential and not in any way commercial use of property. So Representative Cambensi did sign off on this, but I don't see McBroom's name on the Senate side. So I don't know if you are interested in this, or if you want to talk about it, or if you want more information, or what's the board pleasure? Because we do have some short-term rentals in the township now. Don't worry about it, or, John?
While we do have short-term rentals in the township, they are by special use.
No.
This legislation would prohibit us from allowing it only by special use in all residential districts, so.
And that's what I did email Representative Kimbenzi and asked her if I was missing something and why she thought this was a good thing to support. It isn't even so much the short-term rentals, and we've had some come before the planning commission already, but it's the taking from township authority. That's my objection, is to not, personally my objection, not to allow us to make those decisions. You know, obviously, we put restrictions on them. That's what we've already done, and we've already had hearings for them. So, I don't know where they are. This just came up this weekend, so I don't know where they are in the process, other than, like I said, both House and Senate have it, so. Just let it go? What's your pleasure, anything? Okay, just wanted to make sure. Thanks for that. I also sent you a close-up sheet, just a one-page, that I thought was kind of interesting. John, do managers reply to the close-up, the Michigan, let's see, is it MSU? Oh, Michigan Zoning Database. U of M, that's right. I always get that wrong for this report. U of M sends this out every year, well, multiple times a year, and asks for supervisor, and that's what I was gonna ask. Does the manager get this too? I never bothered to ask Randy.
I did get at least one in my time in this position.
Okay, and it's a survey, and they ask you all these different questions, and you do put down who you are and where you are, so they can pinpoint, but your answers are anonymous. So it just goes into these reports and these statistics. So the two things that I thought was kind of interesting is that local officials' satisfaction with their jurisdiction's current approach to planning and zoning. Marquette County officials said that they're somewhat satisfied with the current approach to planning and zoning. And the second part was local officials' assessments of how their jurisdiction uses their master plan in relation to rezoning decisions. I thought that was kind of interesting because 61% of Marquette County officials only follow the spirit but not the letter of the master plan when rezoning. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Again, just more information to share with you guys. Okay, that's all I had on community linkage. Anybody have anything they've heard from the public lately? Any phone calls or meeting anybody at the store? Nothing to share? Okay, we'll move on. All right, 8A is consider $39,500 Eagle Affordability and Planning Grant. Do you want this, John, or Lenny, or?
I think Lenny has it.
I'm here.
Are you sure?
So basically, all this is just the official acceptance of the A&P grant.
All right.
Question, does the board have to accept it formally?
Yes, there's an action item there.
I'll make a motion to accept the $39,500 Eagle Affordability and Planning Grant.
I'll support.
Okay.
So the background on this is that staff applied for and was awarded an Eagle Affordability and Planning Grant, which will allow us to commission a 5-year plan, financial plan, to be performed by Stantec. The plan will look at all aspects of our water fund and make recommendations, rate recommendations, based on the data. The plan will also try to assess the effect of our rate structure on those who are disadvantaged and ways to help offset the cost to those users. Yes, Ms. Linda?
So in reality, this is somewhat of a, we're getting the money and we're hiring Stantec, and so we're not really, our advantage to doing this is that we're getting data
Yes.
to make decisions
Yep.
in the future.
Yes.
So just so people understand that we're not doing this in-house.
That's why, if you see the packet, for those that are online, there's no cost to us. It's just accepting the grant. Anything else to add, John?
I guess the only thing I have to add is while I'm excited that we did get this grant, I'm disappointed we didn't get the one we really could have used, which was a much greater value. Either way, great job by Lenny and everyone else that put the application together.
Did you want anything else, Lenny?
No, everything, I mean, it's just gonna be a good project for us, and, we'll learn, what we need to do, and it'll give us a good outlook here for the next 5 years. I believe, Stantec, they're actually gonna go a 10-year study, but the 5 years is, gonna be the most accurate that you can get, but we'll get a peek out to 10 years, just get an idea, but the data from year 6 to 10 won't be accurate enough to act on, but the up to 5 years will be.
Okay, and I'm guessing they're aware of this, and they're restricted to the 39.5, right? Okay,
Yes.
okay, sounds good. We have a motion and second.
We do.
Well, let's see. Yeah, this is just a regular motion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. We can accept the grant. 8B is to consider purchase of Waldo water main items. That should fall to Lenny again. Yep, this one will cost us a little bit. Want to give us the
Yeah,
highlights?
so this one's gonna be kind of similar to what we had experienced on Ontario. They're replacing the culvert, the creek culvert there at the intersection of Walnut. And since we're in their right of way by permit, we would be responsible for any utility conflicts. But unlike Ontario, the county has been very nice and agreed to pick up the labor for this project. So we will only be responsible for the material. And as part of this job, we're actually gonna add a couple new valves and a valve where there was not one before. So whenever we get a chance to add more valves in our system, we take it, because more valves is always better.
Sounds good. Anything else, John, that you wanted to add?
No, I guess I should say thank you to the road commission for agreeing to pick up the labor costs on this one. As you all recall, the Ontario surprise was a little bit of a sticker shock, and to eat that amount twice in 1 year, I think would have been a significant impact on our water utility reserve. So glad they were willing to assume the labor costs on this one.
We probably don't know what that number is, right? Just out of curiosity.
We might be able to
Yeah.
get that for you. It's in the bid, if I remember right.
Yep.
Randy, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I will move to approve the purchase of the new water main related items to be used in conjunction with the Marquette County Road Commission Waldo Street Covered Replacement Project with the lowest quote that was from Aetna, the amount of $7,643.40, not to exceed.
Motion and support. Any questions? Linda?
So Lenny, can you tell me why more valves are good, or actually share with the township residents why more valves are good?
Well, it gives us more of an opportunity. It's easier to isolate. If we did have a problem or a main break, instead of shutting down 4 blocks, we might only have to shut down 1 block. We do have stations out there with just the way that the valves have fallen into the system. We would have to shut off, 3-4 blocks of customers, just because there's one valve that's not there, and it just wasn't part of the construction way back in the 70s. So when we have more valves, it gives us opportunity to actually shut less people off if there was a problem or if we have to do some work. So it basically comes down to minimizing the disruption to our water customers.
Thank you.
Good question. Yeah, so people know why. Anything else? Okay. All in favor then?
Aye.
Aye.
Bernie, you okay?
Yes, I'm okay.
All right. All opposed? Okay, motion passes. 8C, consider Marquette County Solid Waste Management Authority request on battery collection. I did email Amy right back when I got this last week and asked for a little more information. It kind of looks like there are two different things going on here. I wasn't sure, so I called Director Brad today and left him a message, told him I would like some more information and some clarification, and I didn't hear back from him. So I can't tell you any more than what's here. We had the discussion a few years ago with the previous manager about having a box or some kind of a disposal ability for the public to drop their batteries here. He was not in favor of it for a lot of good reasons. Namely, if we put it outside, then you've got people messing with the batteries after hours. I mean, we do have cameras on the property, so that would help a little bit, but if you put it inside, you've got a chance for fire in here at some point, even when people are not here, you know, after staff leaves. So what I was looking for from Amy, I asked her if she had a picture. I asked Brad too, if they had a picture of what this box looks like, because it says you can seal it up and just mail it. So, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I wouldn't have enough information to even agree to trying this. So I can, unless somebody else knows, I can try to find out some more, maybe for the next meeting. Randy?
I would just suggest I don't know if we can coordinate it with our hauler, but just have them bring it up to the disposal site on the first Wednesday of the month, and then they could put the box there, and then they could ship it out after, and then we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, it's just convenience, I was thinking originally, you know, when Randy and I talked about it.
Yeah, well, usually you don't have they're not like the alkaline, they're the bigger ones usually, so.
Linda?
You know, a good resource would probably be the food co-op. They've had battery collections,
They
and
have, yeah.
Northern Michigan University has battery collections. Maybe a list of where they are all available. I think it's a good idea. I personally like any recycle things that we can do. And actually, the township employees could mail it out at the end of the collection. I think asking our hauler to do one more thing might be more, but then again, they might do it. But I guess I would suggest that we just move this to the next agenda, since we don't
See if
have
they
all the
answer.
information.
Okay.
Yeah, we do want to recycle, and maybe, you know, I don't think the co-op has had any trouble with fire.
Well, Menards and Lowe's used to do it too, and then they took their boxes out, because I would always take mine to them.
Yeah, so let's find out where the sites are currently located and share that with residents.
Pete, did you have your hand
I
up?
used to have one at the Dome, and it'd be kind of interesting to find out if they had a problem or not. But when I put mine out in a container, I put it in a plastic container, I put a piece of paper and then taped the top, you know. But I was thinking when I first read this thing, well, if we had an old mailbox or something like that outside, they could throw them in there. You know, it's a metal container and stuff like that, so. But, I don't know, it'd be kind of interesting what kind of fire hazard it is. Did the ones who had it before, did they have a problem with it? But, you know, you might want to read a little bit to the public what we're talking about, what they want us to do and the reasons for it.
Randy, did you have something first?
Yeah, I'll move this item to the next agenda.
Okay. And Dan supported.
Okay?
Well, and partially, I'm sure they brought this up because the landfill did experience a fire in December. I didn't realize it was that long ago already. Because they've had an increased number of batteries coming through the waste stream. I know when they first got going with the 906 recycle, and everybody started pulling their boxes out, Office Max, everybody had them. And so I called Brad and I said, what are we supposed to do with these? And he said, throw them away, because there was no time, any kind of arrangement at that time. Again, this was like Office Max was still here. This was a while ago. So it's evolved since then. And now they're trying to make some kind of a way of putting this keeping it out of the waste.
We make it too complicated, and they end it up in the garbage anyway.
Yeah, they're encouraging each municipality to become a battery drop-off site. It's saying that a prepaid box will be delivered to municipalities, and then when the boxes are full, they ship them out at no cost. We ship them out at no cost. And then they're talking about becoming a rechargeable battery drop-off site, and then they're talking about being interested in becoming a drop-off site for alkaline batteries. So I'm not sure how this works. I don't have enough information.
Pretty soon you're gonna have batteries for car batteries
Well,
coming in.
and that's what Randy Gerard was concerned about. You know, he said people are gonna be leaving them outside, and he didn't think that would be a good idea for anybody to mess with. So, okay, we'll put this on the next agenda. And,
The motion passes.
yes, okay, because your motion was to move it to the next agenda.
It was.
Okay. Does that work for everybody? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. I'll see what I can find out for us. All right, thank you for that. And then the ethics was in there again, that's okay. So, next agenda. Consider Mta Dues and Subscription. John, you wanna talk about this one? You probably got the bill.
I got it, actually.
Oh, did ya? Okay, you can talk about it.
Basically, it's our MTA subscription dues for the next calendar year. It's the board, only thing I'm gonna, it's up to the board if we want to join the MTA, but I think we should, because it's our member organization that we've been along with for many years. I guess the only question would be is the dues are $4,916.85. And you can have the optional subscription for the premium pass, which is another $1,900. So I guess that would be up to the board. Do you want to add that premium pass for the next year also? Because I think there was some value in that this year. So it'd be $4,916.85 plus $1,900 with the premium pass. And so I guess that's up to the board what they'd like to do.
John?
My only concern, if you're considering purchasing the premium pass again, is ensuring that we're not double paying for a portion of the year.
That's what I was gonna ask you, if it's
So
supposed to
we
cover
have to
it.
make sure that if we re-up the premium pass, it's for a consecutive year beyond what we've already purchased. And that's something we'd have to have a conversation with MTA
Well, and
regarding.
that just was in March or something, right, that you paid for it?
I
right
couldn't
before
remember the
MTA?
date, but it's definitely not been a year.
Well, we can go two ways. We can either approve the 4916 and then find out about the 19 and add it in later if for some reason they feel like they need it now, or approve the whole thing and hope that we get the extra year. So we'd have like a year and a couple months.
And maybe, Lynn, some of the townships have not got the premium pass, so maybe that's why they included it in there. I think we did ours for calendar year 2021, I think, so I think we're good probably till the end of this year. So maybe that's why, so maybe we got like a half a year credit there or something, but.
Linda?
So I just have a question here, because on this bill, it says that the legal defense fund is a contribution. Can we be making contributions? It says contribution,
So that must be,
optional. Should we be doing that as a township?
we always have
Because they've always billed
the
you.
ability to contact their legal department.
And we have used them at
I think
times.
we've paid extra for it,
Well, that's not quite what it says there.
yeah, because it
Maybe
says
we want to find
optional.
out about that before. Maybe our legal counsel can tell us that we can make contributions.
Yeah, unless you remember, Robbie.
Well, the general short answer is the township can never make voluntary contributions. We would need to take a look at what we get for that. I know we had had consultations a few years back in terms of some of the tax tribunal issues and so forth, in terms of when they will file what they call amicus briefs. If you have something pending in the Court of Appeals or the Michigan Supreme Court, I know the MTA used to have a fund where they would, if it was a significant issue for townships across the state, or at least a significant cross-section of them, they would participate by providing legal assistance in filing a brief with arguments in support of the position that our township or another township was taking. I really don't know if that's what's being referred to in this or not. If that is what is being referred to, then the township would be receiving something for their money. So it would not per se be a contribution, but what I also don't know is if we have a significant enough legal issue, whether or not they would agree to file a brief regardless of whether we paid the voluntary or the charged fee or not. So we really ought to have a little bit more information on that. I am sure that the MTA is aware of the rule that townships cannot make voluntary donations, because they have a publication about that they've issued, that they've generated over the years. So it might be just poor wording on their form. But nonetheless, having said that, I think it would be worthwhile to just get a little bit more information of exactly what that consists of and what we get for it if we do make that payment.
And it wouldn't be a contribution.
Then it wouldn't be a contribution if we are getting something for the money, or even if we are getting the possibility of getting something. For example, every year we pay insurance premiums, but we don't always have a claim.
Right.
But we're nonetheless getting protection and something for our money in the event something does come up. So that's the nature of the inquiry we would have to get answered before writing the check on that.
Well, how about if we take this to the next agenda too? I don't know when this is due, it doesn't really say.
It is due July 1. We do have a meeting
Okay,
before that.
we've got time. Oh, I see that up there. I thought that was June 1st, I read.
I guess my comment would be on that legal defense fund is if you use 1 hour of their service, you'd probably cover that cost.
A little more than that.
Then it's not a contribution.
Yeah, and
They need
like,
to word that correctly, or they're gonna.
Yeah.
yeah, like Roger said, it might have been poor wording on their part.
Well, let's move this to the next agenda. Is it okay?
I'll move that this goes to the next agenda.
I'll second that.
Support.
All right, any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We will look at batteries and MTA bill. Okay, we'll get more clarification on that one. All right, board committee updates. What do we have from planning, Linda?
The Planning Commission toured the township at our last meeting. We were looking at projects that are going on, some projects that were completed. And then we also were looking at the code enforcement of the blight, how the blight ordinance would work into that. So I think we hired someone, and I'm sure we'll hear about that. John will let us know. So that's what we did.
Okay, recreation. Does that fall to Pete? That's right, yeah.
I haven't made a meeting, I'm sorry.
Been busy.
My plate was a little full, or is a little full, so I apologize.
Okay, well, we do have the minutes in the packets, you know, but it's nice to get that one-on-one report. Okay. Pete, you're the roads man.
We didn't have a meeting tonight, 'cause lack of quorum, and we have to do some work and get some more people on that committee.
Okay. What do we know about events, Pete?
Pardon me?
John, you and, yeah, I know. You and John, events.
Oh, John, we had a mix-up on the scheduling, so I did not attend the last one. John was there. Were you?
I was there, Pete. That being said, it was a communication error, so it's not Pete's fault. He planned on showing up on the date that we advertised the meeting, not the day we advertised the meeting. The date was off by a week.
Yeah, Pete doesn't miss meetings, we know that.
So the plan of the events committee is to continue with our normal schedule of events for the remainder of the year, starting with the car show, Father's Day weekend on Saturday, June 19th from 10 to 2 p.m. at Westwood Mall. Community Days will be in August on the 7th, I believe, right, Pete?
Right.
At Lions Field. So that should be pretty exciting. I don't know yet if we'll have the full list of entertainment as far as bounce houses and that kind of thing. I'm not sure if we'll be in a position to be able to actually do those this year, but there will be music. Still trying to figure out whether or not there will be a softball tournament due to lack of interest in organizing it. So if anyone wants to organize a softball tournament, let Pete or I know, and we will get the marching orders going ASAP on that. And I guess I should say I'm not exactly familiar with what those details have been in the past, but we will get the proper information to anyone that's interested in working on a softball tournament for Community Days. Oh, one other thing, the posters that went out for the cruise associated with the car show on June 19th show the normal route going down Ontario. As you know, Ontario Phase 2 is under full destruction mode at the moment. So that cruise route will be following the detour route. So if you live along the detour route, the cruise from the car show will actually be following that same route.
Good point.
So tell them how it's gonna go, so people, if they're listening, they don't see that.
So the plan is to leave Westwood Mall, go down Commerce Drive to Wright Street down to Woodridge, Woodridge to Fair, actually
The Erie,
to Erie.
the Allen Street.
Listen to what Pete's saying. Erie to Allen, to Ontario, up to Werner, and then back into the mall. So a couple extra turns, but it will allow some of the people in those neighborhood streets to see it without leaving their yard this year. And hopefully we'll get some really good attendance with some really nice cars and bikes.
Well, Pete, you could probably get in a car and lead the way, because you'll know the route then. Kind of like the pole car.
Well, they'll have they have the fire truck there leading it, haven't they?
Yes, the classic fire truck will lead the parade,
Okay, there we go.
or the cruise, I should say.
Okay,
Or we'll put Roger there in his convertible and just wave it to everybody.
like the Queen.
Sounds like Pete found his ride.
Okay, good, thanks for that. Next up is draft committee reports. We've got a few pages on the Iron Ore Heritage Rec Authority, their board minutes, meeting minutes of April 28th, 2021. Their trail work list, I thought that would be good for the public to see. Their packets are about as big as ours, so I try to pick and choose what might be information for everybody. The ORV trail map is always good, and then they have an officer election, so there's new officers in there with their contact information. Then same thing with the solid waste. I included some of their last couple meetings, and I did email you some of the questions I had at the last meeting and the answers that I did get back. They're different. I'm still not sure why they need another truck, but so they did have budget information in here. I'm not sure why I put the tonnage in, not that that's, that it's okay, but it's just a lot of numbers the public doesn't care about. And they do have a few new Board of Trustees members, and I believe in the last minutes it said they were looking for somebody else too. So this may change again next meeting. There's their budget. So that's just for all of your information. Anything on Zoom for emails? Or not on Zoom? Yeah, there's nobody on Zoom, but you can ask anything.
We
on
have
email.
no emails that came in.
Anybody on the Zoom for the public that wants to address the board? Looks like just one.
Then, could I sneak into something under recreation a little bit? This weekend, they're gonna have the Iron Range Roll. It's gonna start in Ishmael, it's gonna end up in Marquette.
Put that under your announcements, Pete.
So I already did it.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah, I can be there too.
I'll forget before it gets to it.
Well, we're there. We're in the wrap up because we don't have any other public comment. But that's a good one to remember. I should have remembered that. I have to go drive the car. What other announcements? Anything? Yes, Randy.
Okay, so as you know, you got your packet and agenda this week. It's now Civic Clerk is live, so we are up and running. And I'll get that on the screen here so you guys can see how that looks. Let me get to our website here. Okay, so members of the public, now it's going to be a little bit different when you look for your minutes, agendas, and packets. So you're going to come to our website, and I introduced that last meeting for the public. You click on minutes and agendas, and it's going to bring you to this page where now you can get, take this, you can see all the upcoming meetings, and the only thing I have on there so far is the Township Board. I plan on putting like the Planning Commission and any other committees that that utilize this will be on there. And all you gotta do is you'll see the Township Board meeting, like tonight's meeting, 6/1/2021, and you got the files over here. You just click on that, you can get to your agenda. You just click on that, and you'll get your agenda, it'll pop right up. And then you can go back, and it's hard with this screen here, but, and then if you like your packet, you just do the same thing. Click on your packet, and your packet will load in, and what's really nice about this is on the far left, you can click on this little icon here, and it gives everything in order. And anything under the agenda item is laid out, so it's all like an outline of the packet. So that's really nice if you're for following, you know. So, and everything in the packet is there. So that's what we'll be doing from this point forward for agendas and packets, and minutes will be the same thing. You don't see minutes here yet, but when the minutes are approved of this meeting, you'll see another little spot, like down here is the last meeting, 5/18, and you can see the minutes are there, so you can download the minutes there too, so that the minutes of the last meeting are there, so.
Pretty slick, Randy.
Well,
It was a good choice.
it makes my life a little bit easier. I'd like to do it a little bit, I'd like it to do a little bit more, but I think it's fine to start out for now, so. So moving forward, that's what we're gonna do, and we have to backfill all our, and I think I'm gonna put a couple years' worth of agendas and packets online. And that's gonna take some time to backfill, because we have to all upload all those files, so it will take some time, but we'll get it there eventually. So be patient with us, hopefully within the next few weeks, we'll get all that backfilled, so. And other than that, we had the cutoff for the agenda packet at 3 o'clock, and putting it together didn't take very long, and by 4 o'clock, it was all out to everyone, so. And Andrew didn't have to stand at the copy machine,
That's great.
so,
It's kind of a light agenda too, which helped.
yeah.
First time.
Ben?
Sir.
How is staff adapting to this and liking it, I guess? I don't see why they wouldn't, but are they adapting to it pretty good?
Well, we just started, Dan, and I know myself and Andrea and Lois are and I think even the manager's happy. I haven't talked to Jason yet, because he's gonna have to put this out for the planning agendas. So I haven't talked to him, but it really shouldn't be much harder than it was. It should actually be easier than it was. And when you utilize it right, it'll make your life a lot easier as far as putting the packet together, putting the agenda together, and then when you do the minutes aren't that hard at all, so.
Just getting used to the new system.
Yeah, and I think moving forward, like I said, I'd like every committee to use this, because the more you use it for each committee, the more data we have and the more searchable it is, so. That's what my view would be moving forward. We can backfill a lot of that stuff, but if it's not generated in this, it's harder to search, so.
Well, and
Good job.
even with the stuff that I put in the agenda, which is not a lot, I'm typically emailing it to Andra over the course of the 2 weeks. And it might be, oh, I found this, I want to make sure she gets it. So I might have 4 or 5 things, she might have 4 or 5 emails over the course of the 2 weeks. So what she does is she'll print the email and stick it in her folder with the tag that says what agenda it's for. Because maybe it's not for this agenda or the 15th, it might be for the July one. But if I don't do it when I'm thinking about it, and then I might have an attachment beside, so I've got to send that, so she prints that and puts it with it. So staff-wise, that's where the time comes in, because that's the way it works. So now, I can just do it, I would be probably the only one who will use it the least, because everybody else has the working part of it that they have to put together, and I can just add my stuff as I go along. So it'll be easier for her from my standpoint, but then everybody else is submitting their stuff to her too. So that's where the savings will be.
Actually, yeah, now you don't have to submit it to her, and she was kind of flabbergasted. Am I gonna get paper copies of this? I said, no. I said, it's gonna all be online, and when you print it, you'll get your copy. But you're not gonna get all that stuff coming in, it's paperless, kind of. And yeah, and a topic of discussion with the supervisor is, yeah, you can add your own stuff now. You don't have to, and you can do it
You can
at any
download my
time.
attachment, yeah.
You can put your own attachment, do it any time, because I just loaded the next agenda, so anyone, I might do that at like a couple agendas ahead, because we'll have the skeleton and all of it. You'll have your basic skeleton of all agendas, and then you can start adding things to them, and the supervisor can do it. I think the supervisor, myself, the manager, department heads can add things, but they don't have the higher administration level like the 3 of us do. But
So can all the treasurer stuff can be added?
the treasurer stuff,
Ernie can add stuff?
well, yeah,
Or-
well, whoever does that, I don't know if Dulcie does that. If Dulcie does that, she'll have the permission to add those financial reports in.
So all those check ledgers, Lois will add?
Yeah, Lois did add them this time, so she didn't have to even email it to Andrea to do it. She did it all herself, so it was really, really nice.
So that's a huge time saver then.
The biggest probably for Andra, like I said, putting it all together, and sticky notes, and which agenda does it go with, what backup does it have,
She won't have to do
Worry
that.
about that.
No, she won't have to do that, and actually, I can put everything together off-site even if it's so nice. I could do it from home if I have to. So,
John?
I would also like to thank the clerk for having the foresight to have the civic clerk team incorporate the board action item form as a template into the software. So we don't have to go and create the form in a Word document and load it. We do the typing right into the software, and then the searchable information is there for as long as we continue to use the software. So it's another efficiency improvement as far as creating our packets. And I've already said, if anyone wants me to do a board action item form for them, just tell me which one it is, what you want it to say, and I'll do it, because it shouldn't take more than a couple of minutes. It's very handy.
So, just so you know what he's talking about, that's the form like we just did with the grant. in Stantec, and it had that beginning, and it said which account, you know, if we were paying something, it would say which account is going to and how much and everything, but, and then you create the motion, right, at the same time, however you think it should be done. 'Cause that's
You
what we
type
were
all
doing
of the
before.
same information that you would into the Word document. It's just there's a data cell for each item that you normally have to move your mouse to and click on in the template, the Word template. So the layout is already done for you. There's no formatting to mess with. It's just typing in information accurately, and then you hit save.
Yes, Randy?
And I think moving forward, and I think we'll we'll get going and we'll get through the grace period of this, and it might be, a little bit hard to start, but I think we're doing okay. It's a little bit more expensive, but in the future, we can actually tie the video to the agenda. So you get to like the announcements, you click on that, and in the video, it'll take you right to that portion where you don't have to search the whole video. So you can tag things on the agenda. So if you're interested in like a water discussion on the agenda, you just click on that water discussion item, and boom, it'll take you right to that part in the video. So that was a little bit more pricey, and I didn't want to go there to start because I wanted to see how this was going to work. But if we want to do that in the future, maybe when our contract comes up in a few years, we can look at that. It'll be a little bit more expensive, but it might be worth doing, so.
Well, I know in the past, I've done that with the manager and just tried to find things. Well, even you and I have looked through motions in the book, and that's why I put that spreadsheet together, just so we could find something a little bit easier. But we've listened, I've done that, listened to DVDs and listened to the YouTube to try to find something, corroborate a statement or answer a question or something. And so it would definitely, even for staff and us, be an advantage, much less the public. Because maybe they only care about Iron Ore Heritage Trail, or maybe they only care about solid waste. And like you said, then they do that side one. Oh, it's gone. They do that side one, right, pull the agenda down, and if it said solid waste, they could click on it, and it would go to that part of the meeting.
Yeah, there's a little, and I don't have, because we don't have that capability, I can't show you, but I've looked at other places. Yeah, you look at their agenda is on the left side, and then on each header item, you just click on that. And they have the meeting window on the right side. It'll take you right to that part, so.
Cool. Well, we
So
can-
maybe in the future, we'll look at that, but I think right now, we're just getting going, and I like what's going on, so.
Well, that kind of comes back to the question I was going to check on the manager with, on the earmarked money for charter. That's really communication big time. So we never really, and that was my question, I was going to check with him, because we had had the discussion before John got here, previous manager, on does that money actually get set aside in communication in the budget? Because I know before it was just going into the general budget for G&A. So maybe in this next budget, we actually do a communication line item and say that all goes in there. And if we don't have any budget items for that year with communication, then we can put it in the general fund. And if we do, like when we started with the community room and trying to do all of that IT stuff, we set that money aside. So this could generally be, if it's part of the budget, it'd be hard to take it out, because if we've already figured it's going to be spent a certain way, unless there's money left over, it'd be hard to take that out for communication now. But, maybe next year, maybe we take half of it or a third of it and just set it aside strictly for communication. So just something to think about when we get to the budget. Manager, what do you want to share about your report?
First, I'd like to share a correction. My report stated that they were removing asphalt on Ontario. They did at the intersection of Center Street and then moved immediately to replacement of the water main and installation of the new storm sewer on Center Street to the intersection with Ontario. So the removals did not continue up Ontario like I thought they were going to. So that's a minor correction. I I guess I wanted you to know too that on the highway, starting next Monday, they will be doing partial and full depth patching at night. It will be milling and then patching, either full depth if it's a full joint, or partial depth if it's like a pothole type of repair. And then the following week, they will actually be doing mainline milling at night. So a lot of this mainline type work will be done at night. And I guess everyone should be aware of that. The paving will also occur at night unless there's a change in the plan between now and then. So, and the reason they do that is because of the amount of traffic out there. Also, I wanted to mention, for the next meeting, I have 4 job descriptions that I promised to get to Attorney Zappa last time, and I didn't quite complete one final link there. When you have 4 job descriptions that you're trying to coordinate together, Ernie and Lynn know what I'm talking about. You have to make sure that all the details are right, and I don't know that I have the right job description for the 4th person involved, so we have to get that right before I can get them all to Attorney Zappa for his review to make sure that we made all the correct changes. Also, we have an agreement with Mdot that needs to be considered, that Attorney Zappa has reviewed and had a couple of minor revisions that need to be done. We didn't get that back from Mdot yet, but things like reference to the township being the city, obviously we don't want that to stand in a formal agreement. So that and a minor typo, there might have been one other issue there, but we will need to get that signed because it also requires we spend some of our money up front regarding that grant project. So we already received the invoice for it. So your next meeting, we have to make sure that that's ready for you. Otherwise, you have my written report, and I will take any questions.
John, would you explain the Ontario project? I've had one person, my neighbor asked me about it because he didn't see anything going on. And I see also about the Ontario project, people are going around the barricades, and you really shouldn't be doing that. So,
I'd be happy to address both of those, and I'll take the latter first. If a sign says road closed, that only means one thing. And I guess we can't teach people to obey the signs, but they're there for a reason. It's to give the workers a safe work zone. And granted, there's going to be some local traffic that can only be accommodated by entering the work zone. If your driveway is within that work zone, that's the only way to and from home. Through traffic should never be going through or into the construction zone, period. This is a total reconstruct project, meaning they are digging trenches across and down the roadways. So the entire road construction or road cross section of Ontario from Center up to Allen, which is Allen is 1 block south of Fair, is going to be completely tore up. Brand new storm sewer, new curb and gutter on the east side with a multi-use path behind it, a bituminous curb on the west side, and then we also have $90,000 worth of water main work at Center Street. The water main needs to be lowered to accommodate this new 48-inch diameter storm sewer. So this is phase 2 of 3, and it does extend the multi-use path from the north end of phase 1 to the north end of phase 2. Ultimately, the multi-use path will go all the way to Wright Street. And I've received a couple of questions specific to that and wanted to make sure I mentioned it publicly.
thank you.
So there's a lot.
Question,
Sorry. Go ahead, Ernie.
question.
Go ahead.
On the Ontario project, when you're going west on Fair Avenue, you're supposed to turn at Erie Street. Well, there's a sign there that says detour turn, but it's partly blocked by the trees and that, and there's no barricade at Erie and Fair, and people are just going right straight through and that, up to Ontario. I would suggest somehow putting a barrier at Erie and Fair And that, otherwise you're gonna have people continue to go through and that, because they won't look at the sign until it's too late.
Good point, Ernie. I will bring that up with the road commission and see if they would be willing to make that change. A type 3 barricade with road closed to through traffic there would make sense.
Good one. Dan?
And if it continues, could we not just have our deputy occasionally drive by or sit and watch and, you know, give people a citation or a warning or something for doing it before somebody gets hurt?
It's probably gonna be all summer, I'm thinking.
Well, get the word out and they'll stop doing it.
Or just see that car once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Linda?
So along with that, since we're talking about the road construction, someone needs to let people know that the speed limit on Woodridge is 25, not 35 like it is in Ontario, and that people need to slow down. And we're gonna invite maybe the police officer to sit there, as Dan recommends, and ticket people. That's a very walkable part of our community, and there are many children. And Pete can attest to the speed of the cars, trucks, vehicles.
I, for one, would like to see our officer in that Trowbridge Park area just a little bit more often than what I've seen them. I mean, I'm not out a lot lately, but generally they're up on the highway or they're over at one of the retail stores or something with fraud, but I would like to see them just in that area some more.
Well, they've changed their people. Maybe that's just a conversation, John, with the sheriff.
Cyber?
Or under sheriff, either one. And I know they changed some of the people a couple times recently. And maybe they didn't get that memo where they're supposed to be driving the whole township every day and then going back, you know, whatever, you know, go up 492, come down to the south part and come around and.
I think they are.
They are.
They just might have to increase their frequency in the construction area and the detour route based on unique current circumstances.
Because a lot of people are staying off the corridor because they know that they don't want to sit in the lines, you know, so they're either on Brookton or on Werner or somewhere, so. Pete?
I live on the corner of Woodridge, and I see the cars coming and going too fast, and I just wish they would think of, they should drive down there like if their kids were playing out in the road. You know, that's what they should keep in their head, because they don't stop at stop signs, they roll through the stop signs all the time, and they're just, I don't know how they stop for a right street. Sometimes they're going so fast on that street, you know, but they should have a little more consideration, because we do have on, between Granite and Woodridge, and then go down the next one over to Erie, there's a lot of kids floating around there, you know. And a lot of people riding their bikes, you know, and they shouldn't be hot rodding around, so.
I was going down, was it Werner? To Meeski, and a deer went across.
Oh, yeah.
I know there were signs a couple times in some of that area and even farther west saying, you know, slow down, there are deer crossing here.
At one time, we
Somebody
had
made 'em take
a
them
little
down.
young kid hot rodding around the township. I was working out in the yard, and I seen him go around, first time I seen him coming back, and I was out by the road, and I stepped out in front of him, and I had a sledgehammer in my hand, and I put it on his hood, I said, next time it's yours.
Oh, gee.
So, I mean, they're just getting crazy, so
Yep.
just be
I
careful.
wouldn't encourage vigilanteism.
Yeah,
I didn't, just brand new
Works.
sledgehammer.
Linda, go ahead.
So I don't know if we can get, if there's some speed limit signs along Woodridge, but we were discussing this, and, you know, that is a good $200 investment, much better than having an accident. So maybe the county will come up with those as part of their construction budget, or someone. Well, you never know, and it may be that the homeowners would be happy to. People put signs up about children playing all the time. They buy them at Menards.
Okay, what else for the manager? Anything? Good deal.
All good points, thank you.
That's a lot. So, Randy, would you like to review the motions?
Yeah, first motion was to approve the consent agenda as presented. The second motion was to approve the regular agenda as presented. The third motion was to approve the Eagle Affordability and Planning Grant. And the fourth motion was to approve the purchase of the water main items. Fifth motion was to put the solid waste authority for the battery collection on the next agenda. That was approved. And sixth motion was to put the Mta Dues subscriptions on the next agenda. And that was approved.
Okay. So as of right now, we'll have the battery discussion next agenda. On the June 15th will be our next meeting. We'll talk batteries hopefully, and the MTA bill if we have those two back for information. Probably 4 job descriptions from the manager and maybe even the Mdot agreement. We'll see how that, they're so slow, but as of right now, that's what we've got. What do we have for board member comment? Anything to share?
I have a couple
Lots
things.
down here.
Rubbish drop-off is tomorrow from 12 to 7, glass drop-off as well. Household hazardous waste collection is next week. It's on your calendar with your water bill. It's from 3 to 7 in Marquette. Thank you to the staff for opening the bathrooms. The ballpark was very, very busy today. So lots of people, lots of children, lots of use. I was looking at the solid waste numbers and their recycling is going up. So with that, I'm guessing that we may hear some promises were made about as recycling increased, that there may be some money
Well,
coming
that
back.
extra $2, yes, tipping fee that, no, it was $6 that was implemented on the fly. They agreed with some coaxing to get rid of it, and that should stop July 1st. So that'll be a help, but then the $2 budgeted amount that was like a 5-year budgeted plan will kick in
But they seem to be doing well, that's what I'll say.
better.
The other thing is I see lots of recycling cans out, placed appropriately. I don't know what you're hearing, but I do see garbage not putting cans in bags. And I think it says that garbage is not to be put out in bags. It's supposed to be in a can. So I need to get that clarified because people are bringing that.
Garbage needs to be bagged, preferably in a hard-sided container to contain it. This leads us to that question, are we ready to get garbage carts too, and how do we pay for them? Because
And who's gonna-
there's no grant money for it.
Well, who's gonna clean up the garbage spill? That's the question.
The neighborhood, unfortunately.
Yeah, but anyways, let's look at our ordinance and what our garbage collector is wanting, because it's messy.
Okay, what, Dan?
Yeah, in regards to that, I did have a neighbor stop by and talk to me about another neighbor that's up the street from me that had quite a bit of garbage in the plastic bags and who knows what, raccoons, birds, everything was into it. And he asked what can be done about it. So who is in charge of complaints about just plain old household garbage being spread out everywhere?
Be our hauler, wouldn't it? Are they in charge, or does it fall back to us?
They are responsible for picking it up curbside, but if it is no longer in its container, they are not litter picker-uppers.
Right, but he's talking about enforcement.
So this
wasn't
ultimately
even near-
would,
This
this,
wasn't even near curbside, this was next to their house. And they had a pile of garbage that they left out, and all the birds and raccoons and everything got into it and tore it apart, and
if,
it was a big mess.
if it's
And he
not
asked me-
curbside, that would fall under our code enforcement. Same issues we're having elsewhere in the township. It's garbage that you need to take care of, and if you need to put it in new containers again to get it curbside appropriately, I guess that's on you unless we come up with a different plan that was, like was suggested one meeting ago, an incentive program. I think you have to be a little bit careful with that kind of thing, but maybe it can be done.
So if they have a complaint, direct it to the township.
Yeah, and ultimately, solid waste falls under Department of Public Works. So start with Lenny, and generally speaking, if he doesn't have the answer, he and I are gonna be talking, and if we don't have the answer, we're gonna be looking for it, so.
Perfect.
What I'm understanding is that the stuff is not in the bag.
It was in a bag.
All right, do they put the bag inside of a container?
No. The bag was put into a pile
And then something
of
got
bags.
I got an extra garbage can I'll give them to them.
Well, they had the garbage cans right next to the bags, but they didn't find their way into the garbage cans before the animals got into it. It has been cleaned up, I will say it's been cleaned up, but I didn't have the answer for them, and so I'd like to clarify and find out that answer.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, so if it's curbside, it falls under Public Works. But we don't go and clean up the litter either. It's the person that caused the mess should be cleaning it up. But if it gets beyond an issue curbside where it's up in the yard and you have accumulations, that falls under code compliance. So that's a completely separate issue. And, oh, by the way, under my report, I forgot to mention that we did hire a new staff planner. His name is Eric Powers. Some of you may remember the name Steve Powers, former county administrator. It's his son. Currently working for the city of Grand Rapids as a staff planner. Started with their department as code enforcement. So we're very excited to see him start. Unfortunately, since it's a move halfway across the state, it won't be until just after the 4th of July. So I have a feeling we know what his first order of priority will be.
Well, I think that's good because he's got some local blood in him, and hopefully he's gonna stay around.
Well, that was part of what interested us, plus the fact that he was intrigued by our advertisement that we wanted code enforcement experience. He enjoys it because it gets him out of the office. I personally like that a little bit myself, probably not as much as I could or should, because it gets you more familiar with the community, breaks up your day, hopefully makes your desk hours more efficient, so.
Good, thank you.
Linda, I think you were.
So I still need to know if garbage bags are to be placed in cans. Yeah. and so-
Preferred, yes.
Well, someone wants to see it in writing. So is it in writing? I mean, I don't know that.
Yeah, well,
Can you
we'll
look
find
for
that
me?
out.
Yeah, and then comes the part is, if it says in cans, then we have to enforce it, or we have to change it.
Yeah, and enforcement could be an issue because I think it's pretty common to put it curbside just in a bag.
A couple tickets and it'll change, but we don't
Yeah,
really
well,
wanna punish.
Keep in mind, we aren't in the business of writing tickets every day.
Yeah,
so-
but I would be happy to change it so that people are in compliance. With the understanding they'll clean up the mess.
I've never heard of that you had to have it in a can before.
Yeah.
Preferred, yes.
Yeah.
Recommended, yes, but something that's enforceable, not that
Not
I've
that
ever
you know,
heard.
yeah, but I think we can find that and then we can share that on the water bills.
I know for a fact it's very clear that recyclables should be in a hard-sided container with a cover to keep them dry and in the container. I can't say that for sure right at this moment, that we have the same requirement for the trash.
How much did those recyclable cans cost?
The carts themselves, I can't give you that number. Ryan and Lenny were handling that, so we'll have to get back to you.
Yeah, because maybe people would want to buy them.
Well, and we have to make sure that there's an inventory to purchase first.
Well,
So,
maybe they would, we'll see. Amazon sells everything. Right.
Anyway, Pete again? Nothing from this end.
You done now, Lynn?
I'm done.
Okay, I'm just checking. They sell bags for that particular reason. you know, in the different communities, and for it to leave them out, so it'd be a hard thing to say you have to have it in a container, because some communities have, the bags are designed to leave them out. But, it's different. I forgot what I was gonna ask John. All right, forget it.
You used up your questions.
I'm sorry.
The other board member comment? Yes, Mr. Randy.
I'll move to adjourn.
Support.
Okay.
That's my comment.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. 7:50, we are adjourned.
You know what wasn't said